What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Pin to Gas podcast. And you guys already know the deal and the routine. This episode is brought to you by Bison. Listen, I say it all the time. Are you a track day junkie? Somebody that's looking into getting in track days, a street rider, somebody that's looking to race a Grom or Z125, right? Don't buy an off the rack suit. Don't buy an off the rack jacket, gloves. Listen, you can get a full custom suit, tailored, measured, made specifically for you. You pick out the design, you pick out the colors, you put the logos wherever you want them. You do the whole nine. The chest protector, the undersuit, the gloves, it all comes to you. But listen, I'm telling you right now, don't miss out. You want a full custom suit, not an off the rack suit. I promise you. If you're there in Moto America at Brainerd, just go up to anybody in the paddock right now that's got a Bison suit on, and they'll tell you the same exact thing. It's absolutely worth it. And the cool thing is you can use a discount code Pin to Gas 2024 and get 10% off all your merch there, right? Even if you want to buy a hat, a sweatshirt, or you're like Daniel and you want to buy some shirts made for your team, Bison does that too. But yeah, anyway, listen, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my friend Daniel Bocook on this podcast today. What is going on, Daniel?
What's going on?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Just chilling at the house, doing a little bit of cleaning. Of course, I got a bunch of friends racing this weekend, like in BSB and World Superbike and Moto America. So I've been on my phone all morning, doing that basically.
Yeah, I've been doing the same. I've been on Facebook and everything else, kind of following everybody, seeing where qualifying's at, chatting with a few people. I don't think there's a day that goes by I don't do something motorcycle related. So
110%. I know there's not probably an hour that goes by that it's not at least on my mind or on my phone or all that good stuff. I mean, shit, just look at the background of my room, right? It's that's the only time my wife asked me not to really talk about motorcycles is like on her birthday or Christmas or the holidays, right? But even then, I'm secretly on my phone. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm in there on my phone, like. So yes, I'm a junkie, pure junkie. And listen, we already got some comments coming, and we got Shelby. What is going on with a big old smiley emoji? And then, of course, so you know Shelby?
Oh yeah, I know nice. Shelby. Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, he's I've hung out with him a few times up at Roebling with Didier and Gordon and all them guys that are up there in Savannah always racing.
Nice. Well, welcome to the podcast, Shelby. And then of course we got Matt Hall in the house, the legend himself. He says Daniel tells about that one day at band camp. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that, Daniel. That one day at band camp.
I still got the flute, man.
I love it. And then, of course, we got Dial Brinkley. What is up, man? He said, what's up from T7 at Roebling Road Raceway at Pan America? That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I know. They're up there racing this weekend, and I was really, I was like, man, my truck, actually, I had the bearings go bad in the front wheel of my truck, and my wheel almost completely came off the truck, and it's in the shop right now. Otherwise, I possibly might have taken a chance and gone up to Pan Am this weekend if I hadn't had this podcast and gone racing. But yeah, my truck's down for the count for at least the next week. So
yeah, that's, man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. But I'm glad you're sitting here with me on the podcast today. But we could have made it happen even if you was there at Roebling after the sessions. You could have sat down and did it from the track.
I find the camper and all that stuff. Oh yeah, I could have made it happen no matter what. But
yeah, facts. I love it, man. I love it, dude. And listen, we have another one, man. It's from let me pull it up. Low T in the Vintage. Hello from BMW Motorcycles of Jacksonville. Full support.
Yeah, that's David and all the guys that work over there at BMW Ducati of Jacksonville. They're really good guys over there. That's where I bought my Ducati from, and yeah, they're solid dudes.
Absolutely, Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. I'm in St. Augustine, and I'm in between St. Augustine and Jacksonville. I'm in World Golf Village area, so it's kind of more suburbs of Jacksonville, I guess. It kind of moved a little further south. So
that's awesome. I grew up in Jacksonville when my dad was in the Navy. That's where we first moved to. Orange Park South in Jacksonville.
So it's NAS Jacks.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were in Orange Park, it was NAS Jacks out there. Big Navy area out here. Mayport, NAS Jacks. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was I miss Florida. It's one state that I would absolutely move back to for sure. There's a lot. it is, but it's hot anywhere on the East Coast, right? But you guys got the ocean. There's a lot of racetracks, SFL, mini GP. I mean, there's so much going on, right? Here where I'm at in Virginia, luckily for me, it's like 6 hours to Atlanta, 6 hours to Jersey, 6 hours, a little bit over to Mid Ohio. So I got decent tracks around me, but not a lot of places I can go to, like in Florida, and just go ride, right?
Well, Florida's been suffering a lot. I mean, you got South Florida Mini GP. They go to Anderson and Bushnell, and they got they're running a really tight program over there. And of course, my buddy Seth Starnes that you had on the podcast a couple nights ago, which I wasn't able to make live. I really wanted to, but he runs with them and does arrive and ride and stuff like that. And they got a really solid program. And of course, Pan Am runs down there with Florida Track Days, Tony and them, and but we lost PBIR, and we've got Homestead and Jennings for the big tracks, so I don't know, wish Florida would step up and get us a good solid track like a Barber or something, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, but we can all hope and dream.
Facts, right? I mean, that's something we need. Like, I wish Moto America could come back to VIR, right? Because I'm an hour and 20 minutes from there, and I would love it. That's an absolute amazing track. I think that's one thing that we could use here in America in general, right? Not just for Moto America, but also help promote like World Superbike coming back over. Another track for Moto GP to be here. I'd love to have like the Transcontinental again, to where BSB and Moto America collide for 1 or 2 races or 3 races at the end of the season. Man, that's what we need. That'll bring help our sport grow across the world. That's what I want to see. Not just Moto America, not just BSB, not just World Superbike and all this.
Just
around the world in general, road racing. Plus, we need more organizations like SFL Mini GP across the world, not just Spain and Italy, but everywhere, Australia, Japan, to make it more accessible to get the kids into it at a younger age, bring in cheap racing at a young age as they come up. Of course, it gets more and more expensive, but if we had those structures set in place, I think we'd be a lot further ahead than what we are.
I agree. Europe's got it on lock, man. They've got like it's ingrained in them at a young age. It's like a major sport, like football is here. For example, like it's something that and there's just a lot more participation out there, and you got a lot more support out there. And just chatting with somebody on Facebook that was like, oh, it'll never be like Europe over here, and that might be the case. Maybe it might not ever be like Europe over here, but it can definitely get a lot better than where it's at now, for sure. I mean, even in the 80s and stuff, it was a lot. There was a lot more following, a lot more support, everything than there is now. So we definitely, anything like that to help feed it, I agree. The sport needs to grow for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I could see us getting on the European level. It's just going to take a lot of work. A lot of time and a lot of effort, right? Because we have world-class riders too.
Absolutely.
We just don't have the infrastructure that they do at a very young age, right? Where it's like it's everything to them. And you just got done saying, we're more focused on NASCAR and Indy and American calls it football, but the real football is soccer, so I call it handball, right? It's if we could focus more on that and bring more outside sponsorships, it would be a great thing for sure. But listen, Daniel, we'll talk about all this stuff later, man. I want to hear your journey and your story, my man. So take us from the very beginning, Daniel. How did you get into motorcycles to begin with?
So I grew up in a pretty poor family that didn't have much. Had a lot of issues growing up with that in mind, but I bought a dirt bike when I was very young, man. I mowed a bunch of lawns and bought a 1979 DS80 and ripped that around the neighborhood. And then one of my neighbors he ended up going pro in motocross later on is a guy named Brian Gray, and they call him Flying Brian Gray. He's since passed away, unfortunately, but really solid motocross racer. And and I started running with him. Unfortunately I didn't have the funds like his family had, but I would take his takeoffs, like he'd run, a race or two on a set of tires, and I would take his takeoffs and, use them on my bike. But I wasn't able to follow the series like he was able to and progress. And, But I raced that for a long time. I've always loved motorcycles. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it all started. I took a break for a little while when I joined the military. Didn't have any motorcycles, and got married and settled down, and then went and bought a Harley, and then went and bought a Ducati, and started doing track days on the Ducati, and showed up and got my race license. Did the Ed Bargy race school, and won my mock race on a $30,000 motorcycle. Of course, it was in my novice year, and I raced a Ducati for a couple races. But I learned really quickly, at that time, that motorcycle was a little bit above my skill set, and it wasn't going to be very fun to pay to fix that once that went down. So I ended up going back to medium weight, racing Kawasaki ZXs, and I ended up selling Ducati. But I've still got, I've got KX 450s, I've got a Ninja 300, I've got a Harley Road Glide, I've got two. Well, I just sold a ZX6, but I've got one ZX6 left. I just built the SV650 for the endurance bike, so I've got motorcycles coming out of my ears. But yeah, I'll go back. I'll go get another Ducati or a BMW or something again soon. Just wanted to get a little bit faster and a little bit better skill set before I go racing such an expensive motorcycle.
Yeah, for sure. Man, they've always been my favorite motorcycles of all time, Ducatis. I remember coming out of the commissary on base one day, and man, I forget what it was, 900 SS 850 something, 850 Paso, whatever, right? So I remember coming out, and I was like, Dad, what motorcycle is that? I've never seen a Ducati, even heard of one at the time. He's like, dude, that's a Ducati. It's like the Ferrari motorcycle. I said, one day I'm gonna have one. He just chuckled and was like, you better get a good job, right? So fast forward, my first one was a 748. Then I had a 996, which I miss so much, and then a 1098S, which I miss so much, and now I got an 848. They are one of the most beautiful women on the planet, and they sound so good, right?
They're perfect for the track too. I think they're the perfect size, bike for the track. They're phenomenal bikes. Yeah, mine was a V4. I had a V4S, and I didn't know anything about it, but I probably should have got the V4R. But at the time, I didn't think I was going to get into racing. I just bought it to ride on the street. But I learned really quickly. I was like, man, I'm going to, I was the guy that took it up to, Deals Gap and Tails Dragon, all that stuff. And once I was riding the Sharahala and took a 25-mile-an-hour turn at, 90 miles an hour and about went over the side of a mountain, I was like, yeah, I better start trying to think about doing this in a more structured environment before I kill myself and my kids end up with no dad. So that's why I took it to Jennings. And the guy, David, that mentioned on there from BMW, he was the guy that took me to my first track day after I bought that motorcycle. And I got the bug then. That was all it took. And it's been my drug of choice, since then. So
facts.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's listen, nothing motorcycles, they make you feel a certain type of way, and you don't get that feeling nowhere else on the planet. You don't. I'm sorry, you just don't. It's just something about them, the freedom, the experience, the journey, the sound, the feel, just the whole nine, right? It is. But listen, I want to take it back to the military real quick, man. Thank you so much for your service. That's absolutely amazing. So what did you do in the military? What branch was you in, and how long did you serve?
So I ran my parents' business. I've always been in kitchen and bath, doing kitchen and bath remodels my whole life. My parents had a shop growing up, and I ran their business up until about 2008, when the economy took a dump and they pretty much lost everything. I mean, they lost the business, they lost their house, everything. But that was all I'd ever done, and I was kind of lost because there wasn't a whole lot of work doing that. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I think I'm going to go join the military. So I went and talked to an Army recruiter. And I joined the Army in 2008. I got out in 2014. Was going through a divorce at the time and thought I would get back in. And, that whole story just never developed. But yeah, so I was a quartermaster in chemical equipment repair, 63 Juliet in the Army. So I was stationed At a reserve unit here, and then also I was up in Aberdeen, Maryland, at Aberdeen Proving Grounds for quite some time as well. During that time, I went to basic at Fort Jackson, but yeah, I only did my first contract of the 4 years or whatever it was, but or 6 years, sorry. But yeah, didn't see any combat or anything, so wasn't nothing very interesting. But it was a good experience, man. I think a lot of people should go through it. You know, just even going without things through boot camp and stuff like that. Like it just you get a whole different perspective on life and like what you take for granted and certain things like that. And it was a good experience.
Oh, for sure. I experienced by growing up, and of course, I didn't go to boot camp and none of that shit, right? But yeah, living growing up pretty much until I was 10 or 12 in the military. Yeah, constantly moving, constantly leaving friends, making new friends.
Hard on the kids.
Yeah, like I'd literally come home from school and my mom be like, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, we're packing up, we're moving. And I was like, we just got here 6 months ago. She's like, yep, go pack your shit. There's boxes up there already, right? So it's but that's who made me who I am. So that's why I'm so good talking to people all the time. It don't matter who it is, right? It was either in my mind, I'm either going to adapt to the situation and just stay positive and outgoing, and wherever I go to, just make new friends and never forget my old ones, right? And or I'm just going to make like one best friend and kind of climb in this shell, because once you move away, it's I mean, you're hardly ever going to see them again, right? So it was yeah, that absolutely made part of my character of who I am today, being able to just pick up pretty much any time and be like, okay, we're moving and let's go, and doing it all over again and making friends everywhere I go. It's I know you probably heard it and everybody else. You never met a stranger, right? And I always say none of us are strangers. We're just friends that haven't met yet. Kind of the same thing. So it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
man.
that's the main reason why I didn't get back in. Was because I had young kids at the time then, and I was like, and then my I met my current wife that I have now, and she was like, yeah, I'm not really wanting to move around everywhere and deal with all that. So because I had the opportunity to get back in after that, the first divorce was final and all that, and I was like, oh, I'll get back in and do my 20 and get the retirement and all that, but it just never materialized. And like I said, it is hard on the kids. I mean, even though I wasn't in the military a whole lot since my kids were born, we've still kind of moved quite a bit, and I've just seen the impact even of that. And there's definitely positives to it, like you said. It teaches you to talk to people better, but it's also hard too, to especially when you make a good friend or you finally find a school that you're like more comfortable in than all the other ones that you're in, and then it's like, oh, never mind, we're taking you away from that. So
Yeah.
it's difficult too. Um,
Yeah, for sure. It's you're right. Kids growing up, kids are the most ruthless to each other anyway, right? And going from school to school, it just taught me to just, and I always say this, man, kind of like enjoy it, right? No matter what. And it's hard at times, and you're getting bullied at one school, you want to get out and go to another school and learning how to deal with bully, so I got into karate and all that. Yeah, like you said, the military is a great thing. Uh, but you got to find the right partner that's willing to travel with you and adapt to all the situations. That's part of the reason why I never joined the military, because I grew up in it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing; it's absolutely an amazing thing.
mhm,
But I seen all the, I guess, all the behind the scenes stuff, so to
mhm.
speak, and how families got broken up a lot, and stuff like that. And to me, it was a sad situation. Um, But listen, the military is awesome. I thank everyone for your guys' service, because without you, me and Daniel wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't have road racing or any of that stuff. So yeah, you guys are the true heroes, Daniel. You and everybody else. And I know you heard of Vetu track, right? So my buddy Jim Whitman.
Yeah, they're solid. I just recently found out about them, and I was actually getting ready to reach out to them because I want to help in some way or do whatever I can. Like I'm any kind of veteran organization. We deal with a lot over here in America with how many veteran suicides there are every day, and how many of them are living homeless, and that stuff's just wrong. And so I try to help any way I can with stuff like that. But yeah, I've been recently following it. I just haven't had time to meet him or reach out and get connected in some sort of way. But that's definitely on the agenda.
Oh, well, he's absolutely amazing. I know Jim. Every time I see him, I give him nothing but the biggest hug. Listen, after this, we'll talk. I'll put you in direct contact with him. Yeah, he's absolutely amazing, man. But yeah, so listen, let's get back into bike. So, dude, buy Ducati V4R. Like, you kidding me right now? Yeah, I would love to have a Ducati V4R, right? Let's be honest. It's a beautiful, beautiful machine. And top of the line, right? You don't get no better than the V4R.
It's
So,
ungodly. Yeah.
facts. I could only imagine. Never had the opportunity or the honor to ride one, but one day, right? One day I'd
Yeah.
love to throw my leg around one and take her for a little spin and hear her talk to me, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm the type of person I don't like. A lot of people's got the little things on the side of their helmets and earplugs, and I mean, listening to music and all that while they ride. I'm like, but the exhaust, the way she speaks to me as we're going, that's
Mhm.
the music. That's the
Yeah.
journey. That's part of it. I don't want to hear Metallica or Sublime or any of that shit while I'm riding. I want to hear my bike. Nothing else.
Yeah, especially when you're cruising around town. Yeah, definitely. Now, if it's, but on those types of bikes, it's not like you're taking a long trip up to North Carolina on that bike
No.
anyway. So everything's kind of cruising around town. That was why I originally bought mine. But I'm just too much of a heavy-handed person on that bike, and yeah, didn't want to be another statistic. So I got into racing. So um, and you get to let out all that heavy-handed stuff on the racetrack in a controlled environment, which is really really great. To even have that outlet.
No, for sure. It's like I said, when we're all on the street riding, there's always a squid. I'll be like, I'm just gonna take it easy today. Next thing I know, I'm fourth gear, back tire 120. You know what I'm saying? Like on the interstate, not even thinking about it because it's just what you want to do and you're having so much fun, right? And you look back on it, you're like, I'm just glad I'm here. I
Yeah,
mean, because I did some of the dumbest shit ever, right? Especially when you first got your first leather suit and you put it on. Now you felt like you're Superman. I'm invincible. I'm gonna murder everybody. And yeah. So listen, nobody's ever going to forget their first track day. I know I'll never forget the first class, the orange shirt you put on. They don't do that anymore, but back then you had the orange shirt you put on over your leathers. You went out there and then got your race license. And um, I remember, part of the journey too is everybody wants to drag the knee all the time. That's like all I ever hear. I want to drag my knee. I want to drag my knee. I'm like, don't force it. It'll naturally happen, right? Um, but there's a lot that goes along with it to Dragon Knee, like the right body position, the right environment, this and that. All that takes a huge role and to do what you're doing. And what I want to do is one day is drag my elbow. And what I
yeah.
mean by that is when I do it, not do it how I normally do it with my shoulder and my back and everything else falling right after it, right?
Yeah. Body position comes with time. It's something I really struggled with in the beginning, and I tried to focus, and that's still not my strong point, but I'm a lot stronger now than I was, but because I'm a tall, lanky person, and um, but never all the good coaches tell you, don't focus on body position. Body position will come with time and pace. Of course, you got to have a good enough body position to not sort of pitch the bike up the road, but I same thing, trying to get an elbow down that takes time. That takes time because when you try that too hard and you're on the edge of the tire too much, then you're going to end up losing contact at that point. So, but yeah, there's a lot of people that's the first thing they want to do is, I got to drag knee or I got to drag elbow, and it's cool and it definitely makes for a good photo opportunity. That's for dang sure. But taking your bike home in one piece is a better opportunity for sure. So
A less like costly opportunity too, right? It's like yeah, and then when you do go down, Daniel, right, from you're like, I'm dragging my elbow, oh shit, now I'm doing the best Jorge Martin impression of the shoulder drag, right? Along with along with your face. And
yeah,
yeah, it's yeah, I agree with you 110% on that. Yeah, it's better to that's why I tell everybody, man, dude, if you really want to learn how to do it, get you like a Honda Grom, a Z125, go down to your local empty parking lot, put on a leather suit, and dude, ride in circles, do figure eights. Eventually, you're going to touch your knee down and then you body position. The next thing you know, you'd be dragging elbows in the parking lot, you know. But don't go out there on your 400. This is not what we're saying, me or Daniel. We do not condone you going out here down the mountains on the streets and doing your best Mark Marquez impression. Even though I know a lot of you do, right? But if you do, just be as safe as you can and do me a favor, wear the right proper motorcycle gear when you do it. Not jeans, not a t-shirt. Wear proper gloves, race boots, full leather suit, back protector, chest protector. You want the whole nine. You want to prepare for the worst case scenario, not for, oh, it's so hot outside. If that's the case, you should have bought a perforated leather suit.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring that up because that's what when I bought that Ducati, I went and bought a perforated leather suit and sat in a cat dealership parking lot with my B4 riding in circles in the middle of summer here in Florida, you know, riding in circles for probably 2 or 3 days straight before I went to the first track day. And people probably thought I was crazy. They're probably like, who's this dude on this red bike doing, you know, figure eights and circles in the middle of this dealership? It was right across the street from a Buc-ee's. So, you know, 5 million people were looking over from Buc-ee's, but, you know, it's like, whatever. I try to make sure, you know, protective gear is one thing I do not chinch on. You know, you don't want to waste money on that. There's not a whole lot of protection with riding a motorcycle. So you don't want to chinch on that. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. I'm a big advocate for that. You know, if you're going to ride, dress appropriately. If you don't want to ride in 100-degree heat, then just don't ride. Yeah. But don't go out there in a t-shirt and flip flops or your Crocs and be out there out there on the interstate doing 120 mile an hour third gear wheelies. Trust me, you just don't want to be in that situation. You at least want to be a full leather suit. Like I said, get a perforated one. And, you know, it's like the RC51, the Ducatis, Daniel, you know, just like me, you get on them, you ride them out here on the street. They're beautiful bikes. They're not the best street bikes because it gets so hot. Your inside legs is on fucking fire. You're like, holy shit, I can't wait to get off this thing for 10 minutes, you know? And like, yeah, it's, but again, dude, they're the most beautiful things in the world on the planet. They really are. The sound, people stops, the looks you get. And listen, you out there in a parking lot doing figure eights and all that, right across the street from Buc-ee's, bro, that's like the best place in the world. You go there and get decent, good food. They got nice restrooms, you know, anything you need there, gas, the whole nine.
I live about 5 minutes from one, so it is the source of all the traffic here for sure. They're great. I mean, they even sell race jugs for race fuel, but it's not as good as BP's race cans, but they work when you can't get BP's. But they're good. The ones in Texas are better as far as the brisket and stuff goes. But you'd think they'd have the same brisket here, but I don't know. It seems a lot different. But definitely the coolest gas station for sure.
Oh, 100%. I tell everybody, I even got a Buc-ee's lunchbox. I take it to work and people are like, where you get the Buc-ee's lunchbox? I said, at Buc-ee's. They're like, where they got them at? I was like, I go to the one in Texas every year when I go. We stop by there 2 times, going in and coming out. I mean, you got to. I get lighters. Like I buy a couple lighters and whatever, koozies, my wife a shirt, my son a shirt. Mm-hmm. So we're all Buc-ee'd out sometimes when we go out, right? We're Buc-ee's. We're supposed to get one here in Harrisonburg, I think.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get one in every city here soon, man. They're growing like crazy. I mean, they're putting them up everywhere. There's 2 or 3 of them here in Florida now, I think. So, I've seen a few in Georgia. There's one out there right down the street from Barber. They're all over.
They are. So listen, Daniel, let's talk about coming from the street, getting into your first track days. And when did you decide just doing track days that, hey, I'm going to start racing?
So, coming from the street, once I did my first track day, like I said, at that point, I'm like, I'm not even going to ride this bike on the street anymore because I still had my Harley and I was like, I'll cruise and listen to tunes on that or whatever. Because me and the wife actually got married at a Harley dealership.
Nice.
So,
How'd that conversation? Hold on. How did that conversation go down, Daniel? How did you convince your wife to say, hey, you know what? Let's go get married at the Harley dealership?
So my wife loves riding motorcycles. She just doesn't like race bikes. So she loves riding the Harley. That's something we do. We take the Harley out and go to the mountains and get a cabin. Normally we stay in Tellico Plains and right there off the Sharahala. We ride motorcycles, and that's kind of her thing. We go to different dealerships. She likes getting the little poker chips from dealerships, so we travel all over and ride and hit dealerships and get poker chips. And so she just likes the journey. We've been together for 15 years, but we've only been married for 3. Because I'd come off that other divorce, and she was off of the divorce, and we were both like, hey man, we're not in any rush to jump the gun on this again. So we stayed together for quite some time. And then we were looking at places to get married here in St. Augustine, which all of them are astronomical, like 30 grand for the day, 50 grand for the day. And we were like, dude, I'd rather take vacations or do something with that money than spend that. And I know Mark Adamak, who owns all the Adamak dealerships here in town, really great guy. Reached out to him, was like, hey, or my wife had the idea, actually. It was her idea. She's like, hey, why don't we get married at the Harley dealership? And I was like, actually, that's a really great idea. And we talked to him, and he was like, sure, why not? And they actually let us use all the new Harleys to make an aisle of Harleys for our whole aisle right there outside of them. I of course rode the motorcycle up the aisle and, to the altar and all that good stuff. And it was a really, really cool wedding. Not too many guys get to have a motorcycle wedding. So I'm definitely blessed in that department. Now the racing is a whole different thing. She's not a big fan of the racing at all. Especially I had a pretty rough crash last November. Between that and all the money spending, she's not a big fan of it. But she still comes. Like our anniversary was during Cycle Jam. It's always May 23rd, and every year that's Cycle Jam. So that's the only race she comes to me with is Cycle Jam, and then we normally go out to dinner on Saturday and all that good stuff. But she doesn't enjoy going. She doesn't enjoy, of course, the expense of it. And then, of course, the danger of it too is part of it. But, it is what it is. I've, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't have the money to race motocross full time. And it was always something like I always wanted to race full time and try to progress and try to be a good racer. And, and then this opportunity presented itself, and it just seemed like it was meant to be. And I was like, I finally, have the time, have the available funds to make it work, and we'll see what we can make of it. Of course, now it's a little late. I'm 40 years old now, so I wish I would have started when I was a little bit younger. But I can still, I just don't heal as quick, so I just gotta not come off the bike so many times. But yeah, it's I've enjoyed every bit of it. So I met a lot of good people this year. I ran relay endurance last year. Of course, I ran WERA all last year. And I did relay last year with Soul Desire Racing, and I really enjoyed the endurance layout of racing. But I didn't like the fact that relay is kind of like the feeder class to the endurance. It's not real, like it is an endurance team thing that you do, but it's not really looked at like under the medium weight, heavyweight, and lightweight, rankings. So I was like, you know what, this year I'm gonna put together a real endurance bike, and we're gonna have a real team and actually run and try to rank. And it's totally different than relay. It's a lot of preparing, a lot of making sure that you have a really solid plan, which with how many red flags there normally is at these events, and plans don't always go as planned, but you got to adapt and overcome. But so yeah, I went and I bought Ryan Wolf's SV650, and of course his signature teal color. I had to unfortunately change that, so make it ours. But I sent the bike down. I of course didn't have time to do all the work myself, so I sent the bike down with Seth Starnes at Next Level Motorsports, and had him take care of, getting the bike prepped. He sent the rear axle and the swing arm and the tank to Chris Parrish. Chris Parrish, of course, welded and made a bigger tank, put a dry brake ring in it, and built all the body work for it. And then So yeah, and then he put it together, and then Chris from Dripping Wet did all the decals for it. We've got Stomp Grip, does all our stuff as far as our tank grips. Then we got M4 and Vortex, and Dainese Orlando stepped in to help me with the race program this year, and Woodcraft and all that. So, we've got a lot of support behind us, and Daniel Beresford, Matt Hall, and Derek Zierle were supposed to be my original teammates. Daniel Beresford ended up having some obligations that he had to tend to, so he rode with us at Road Atlanta, but that was going to be his, that was the only one he could do, he said. So that's why Chris Parrish rode with us at CMP the second round. And Chris is a really solid dude. Him and Beth are like the power couple of the century. But yeah, and then Seth's a really good dude, man. Seth, he had very little time to get the bike ready. Chris was really backed up, and he had Daytona and all that stuff to get ready from, and we got the tank back and got everything done. Came together so late. I normally have Bart from Drippin' Wet, or not Bart from Drippin' Wet. Bart from DC Paintworks does all my paint work for all my other bikes. But we pretty much had to kind of shaker can this bodywork to paint it, because we had no time for me to ship the bodywork to him to paint it and all that stuff. So, but he'll be getting the next set for sure. He's a solid dude. He did the 40th anniversary edition paint job on my ZX6, which looks amazing. All his work always looks really amazing. And then, of course, Tate from 64 Degrees does all our pit shirts and all that stuff, and he's really stepped up and helped us out this year. So, like I said, we got it all together, and we had a lot of problems with it at Road Atlanta. It was overheating, and then we had the fuel line for the vent, but there was no check valve. And because I didn't know anything about these dry brake tanks, I'm kind of green to all this. This is our first year, and we're kind of learning as we go. And so we had the overflow bottle kept filling with fuel, and so we really struggled at Road Atlanta, but we learned a lot. But what we found out afterwards, we had to have Mike from Robum to take the motors, and we had to redeck the heads and replace the head gasket, all that stuff before CMP, and he only had 3 days to do it. And so yeah, it's been a challenge between every round, but thank God we've had between CMP and Roebling, we've got a good solid month between the two. So because our finishing, because of our struggles, has not been great. I think we're 7th in lightweight and like 17th overall. So we're not in the best standing right now, but the team's put in solid work, and the guys have really worked hard, and we've just had a lot of uphill battles. But I think it's going to make us a lot stronger for when we come around next year. We're going to have all our growing pains and all that good stuff sorted out. But Matt Hall, solid dude. Derek Zierle, solid dude. Freaking he came on the scene last year and did Yamaha champ school in like April or something, and then was out in the C-class medium weight amateurs, kicking everybody's ass, and within a couple months of starting racing, and and last year was my first year racing too, so but he picked it up like that, man. And I was like, man, I wish I could click with the bike that quickly and go that quickly. But yeah, so it's taken a little bit more work. But like I said, the guys have all stepped up, and we're, the next round's Roebling. And then it's pit race after that. And then I'll be at pit race for the endurance, the sprints, and then I'm staying afterwards and taking with Precision Track Days and taking Ken Hill's class that week after that. So always trying to, and then I'm going to try to take Yamaha Champ School, after that. So I'm just trying to constantly better myself, making myself figure out how I can become quicker, start winning some championships, and see if I can get to the top before I get too old, or get to top level racing, not necessarily top, but I'd like, my goal is to at least try to enter into a Moto America round and qualify and make the show at least once. And if I can do that, I'll be happy with that. So.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I have no doubt that you will. You'll absolutely make it. And before I ask you this next question, big shout out to Ghetto Customs. If anybody looking for body work, any of that, listen, absolutely simply the best. And big shout out to Seth Starnes. He's a friend of mine. He's an absolutely amazing human being. Matter of fact, Seth, I text you. You need to text me back. Bad about texting back, right?
Dude,
Awesome.
that dude works his.
I know he does. I know
I mean, he puts in
absolutely
so
busy.
many hours.
Yes.
Yeah,
He is. He
he's
is.
solid, dude.
Dude, he is absolutely amazing human being. I can't wait to this is what I love too is meeting you guys in real life. Like after I had you on, like I haven't met Seth yet. I can't wait to meet him. You too, right? So we will meet. 110% we will. But listen, I do have a question for you, Daniel. Going back to the whole endurance racing, right? Since you're new at it, it's your first season. Anybody that's listening to this now, that's going to listen to it in the future, what advice do you give them going into their first season of endurance racing? Like what you learned from what you didn't know, and next year, since you do know, what you're doing different in the future.
So it's all about preparation, and even preparation. You got the whole joke where it says good way to make God laugh is make a plan. And it's kind of the same thing. Like there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and just being determined. And the main thing too is, like I said, having fun. That's been something that I've learned that competitiveness can suck the fun out of the situation really quickly. So you can be competitive and still have fun, but the main thing is just don't have very high expectations your first year. There's a lot of guys out here doing this endurance racing that have put in a lot of work and done a lot of years of this stuff that got a system down pat. I mean, you got people like Robum and Browntown and Army of Darkness and Top Box and Trash Panda, all these guys that all have, guys that have years and years and years of experience. And that's the main thing is a lot of these, just like me, I suffered from it too. Like I thought I'd get into racing and I, progressed, immediately, and it's like with anything, like it's seat time and practice and being patient and making sure you focus on the fundamentals and making sure that, speed will come with time. When you rush speed, you end up in the hospital. I learned that the hard way, unfortunately. So, I had 3 crashes last year. One was in my first race, first turn. I thought I was going to win the race right off the rip, because I just won my mock race, and of course my head was in cloud 9, and I learned real quickly you get humbled really quickly in the sport. But yeah, so the main thing I would say is just don't rush it. It'll come with time. Just be determined. If you make your mind up and that's what you want to do, then be a good teammate. Be a good. If you're going to lead a team or be the leader of a team, be a good leader. Be good to your guys. Just determination and grit.
So, yeah, you're right. But also, I wanted to ask you, the bike prep and the bike setup. Obviously, it's different than closed circuit racing, right? So, let's say there's somebody out there that's like, "Hey, I want to get into endurance racing. What modifications do I need for my bike to make it legal for endurance racing and all that good stuff?"
So the tech requirements are pretty much the same as the sprint racing. There's some things that you can do that will give you a little bit of a competitive edge, whether that be a quick change rear axle to be able to change your back tire quicker, or a bigger tank to be able to run longer stints. But the tech requirements are pretty much the same. Everything's safety wired. The whole 9 yards. There's not a whole lot of difference between like the tech requirements between the two. Like I said, you can do certain things like make your tank builder bigger, put a dry brake on it so you can use a quick fill gas can to fill it up quicker. And because the main thing is staying out there on track. When you come into pit every time, it only takes a minute for you to lose a lap. That's 1 lap after 1 minute. So, you want to stay out there come hell or high water, unless the bike's on fire. Don't come in unless it's time for you to come in and change riders or pit stop, or the bike's on fire. So as far as the requirements go, there's not a whole lot of difference between the standard wear sprint requirements. Right. Safety wire, your calipers, your rear axle nut, your brake lines, stuff like that, all your fluid, your radiator, all that good stuff, oil cap, drain plug.
All the standard issue needs to be safety wires the same. Sweet, man. So listen, is it a challenge to, you got 2 or 3 teammates, right? And everybody varies in different riding styles, the way they like the bike set up. Everybody's heavier. One guy's the lightest. So is that the trickiest part of it, is trying to find a happy medium between the riders as far as suspension and all that goes?
Yeah. So that's been somewhat difficult to keep up with, because of course, I'm a string bean, man. Like, so I weigh 135 pounds. So like I barely weigh anything. And then Derek's a real tall dude, 230 pounds, so we had to kind of spring the bike, kind of a little bit heavier than I need, but we couldn't spring it so heavy as to what he would need, because then the bike would just be too stiff for me when I rode it. So it just has to be where he can't brake as deep and as late into the corners as he normally would. And it would be a little bit more of a challenge for me to get used to. Now, when Chris Parrish rode with us, Chris Parrish, he likes the bike standard shift. He races standard shift, which a lot of guys don't. Most guys run motor or GP shift, which Parrish is an old school dude. So, I mean, I definitely respect him. And so, yeah, we had to, of course, change the shifter, and during one of the pit stops when he rode, so he would have it standard shift, because it'll screw you up if you got a shift different than what you're normally used to. So, yeah, there are, things that, some guys like to pull on their brake lever to be a little bit harder, or, some guys like it where you can pull it back further. So trying to find that happy medium, even with the clip-ons, making sure the clip-ons aren't, towed in or towed out too far for different riders. That's definitely a big challenge. And I think the more you have guys that kind of can ride in similar setups, that'll definitely be a benefit too.
Yeah, I just thinking about it, I'm like, man, to me that would be the most difficult part to find, right? Is the weight differences and the height differences. And hey, I like my bars physically out. I like mine where my elbows are touching. And it's like, we need just to come up with a happy medium to where the suspension is not too stiff for me, but you can still bottom it out, because if we run it too stiff for me, then I ain't gonna be able to ride the damn thing fast at all, right? So it's almost like you need to find teammates kind of like your stature and weight and kind of same riding style and technique. But this is the challenge of what I love about endurance racing. You see all types and riding styles and weights and all that good stuff, and they make it work, right? It's all plus I think it teaches when you do that, you learn a different feel from the bike, because it's not normally how you would have it set up, right? So the feeling of it's different. The way you push the tire, the feeling you get from the tire, the chassis, and all that. And I would say at the end of the day, it probably makes you a better rider.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does. Like, I mean, getting comfortable being uncomfortable is kind of part of racing. Like I was watching Easy, and Arzaya, and he man, I was watching him ride that bike, and he just, man, that bike is getting all over the place, just jumping around all over the place, and it's the bike is getting loose, and so you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and I mean, just watching him push that bike, and that's what I think a lot of it is getting kind of outside your comfort zone, pushing the boundaries, learning how to ride in different scenarios. Because that's one thing they say, you listen to any of the really pro guys or the guys that have been racing a long time, like, you should pretty much be able to jump on any bike, man, and be able to get within a couple seconds of your normal times, and that's the main thing. That's what I think endurance does. And that's why I ran a different class this year. We decided to run lightweight with the SV 650. Also because, the whole rumor is it's cheaper to race an SV 650, and that's turned out to not be the case for me. I think I've probably got 12 grand into this SV 650 already. So it's none of it's cheap. But so next year, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to stay with lightweight. We might jump up to medium weight. Because that's what I'm used to running, is either medium weight or heavyweight machinery. But the lightweight's been a good experience, because it's like, they say if you can ride a small bike fast, you can ride any bike fast. So that was a big reason why I was kind of intrigued by running a lightweight bike as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, man. And so Matt Hall says physical fitness is important too. Absolutely, it
Oh,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
you really need that in endurance racing. I would say more so is sprint racing, but it's
Yeah.
not really. You still need to be physical fit to handle that bike. You gotta. My thing was too, man, is I always got to remember to breathe. I found myself holding my breath a lot, right? I'm like, dude, you need to breathe, right? And that also helps because you get the oxygen to your blood, and your muscles
Absolutely.
don't cramp as much, and your legs don't get as tired, and yada yada yada. All that plays hand in hand. But we actually have a question and a comment from my mate Chris Lewis. He's all the way from the UK. He says, onwards and upwards, Daniel. And the question for you from Chris is, hi, mate. Thanks for joining in. He says, how do you manage when you have difficult times?
How do I manage when I have difficult times?
Yes.
So, me, I'm a very anxious, kind of run around with my hair on fire type person. So I have to kind of, when times get difficult, or I've got to try to remember to kind of, okay, slow down and breathe, because, acting, panic kills. So, and that's one thing the military teaches you, is that, running around being all panicky is going to do nothing but screw you up worse. So, I just got to learn to kind of slow down and ground myself, and breathe, and deal with it, and in a methodical way. I've always also kind of been the type of person, if you're talking about life experiences, like I'm a procrastinator, I'll get up. So like I've learned that putting things off, or waiting till last second and things does nothing but make it worse as well. So it's better to just face it head on, deal with it methodically, and make sure you slow down, and think critically, and make sure you're making the right moves at the right time.
Yeah, it's hard when you're in that situation too. It's like, and this could be meaning to anything in life. When us as human beings, we like to have some sort of control, like
Hmm.
we do whatever it is, right? once that once that feeling of control you have no control over, that's where the panic and stuff sets in. You're like, holy shit, blah blah blah. But the trick is to focus on the positives, not what you can't control. Focus on what you can control, right? And that helps the physical outcome of everything too, for sure. Um, we got another comment, my buddy Paul Woodward. Man, what is going on, Paul? How you doing? And Chris Lewis just said, "Thanks for the answer, Daniel." It's very important to stay as calm as you can in whatever situation approaches you, whether it's road racing or just anything in life, right? And that brings me to a question for you, Daniel: is how do you prepare for your race stint, right, or a short circuit race? How do you physically prepare? I'm not talking about training and all that. I'm talking about it's an hour before race. What do you do to prepare for that race an hour before it's time to go for battle?
So I'm a very like ritualistic person, like kind of always have been. So like I have a certain protocol that I kind of follow through. Of course, the normal stuff of checking the pressures and getting the bike, making sure the bike's up to par, making sure the chain's clean, the whole 9 yards. But as far as like mentally preparing for it, I've tried to adopt. Before, I wasn't doing a whole lot to kind of prepare for it, except for the normal routine or ritual type stuff, because I get so caught up in the moment of going through those motions. But this year I've tried to start slowing down and sitting down and putting the headphones on, and listening to music and trying to ground yourself, because now, like, when you got to think very fast with the motorcycle, moving very quickly through corners, through passing people passing you, and you don't have a lot of time to think. So if your brain is jumbled up with some kind of other stuff, then you're using most of your mental capacity on that other stuff. So when if an emergency happens or something happens that requires a quick response, you don't have a lot of operating power left in the brain to process that, and that's you'll normally revert back to your last training or thing that's muscle memory. You'll revert back to in that moment, and if you don't have a lot of training, then you're gonna revert back and freak out or do something, grab too much brake or ride off the track or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's the main thing, is try to slow myself down, listen to music, empty my brain completely, kind of focus on breathing. Of course, hydration is really huge. And especially down here in the Southeast region. I mean, it's Roebling next month. It's going to be brutal. But yeah, and just, especially for the endurance, I start pushing protein and a lot of fluids, electrolytes, stuff like that, even 2 days before, and making sure the body's properly hydrated, because last year I did really good at preparing for it, because I was really nervous about it, because I hadn't really run, endurance before. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, 20 minutes of riding, on a regular sprint is like, I'm tired as can be when I come off that. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do a long time. But then I got out there with Mike with Soul Desire doing relay last year, and I did a whole hour, like, no problem. And then they had some issues with another rider, and I went out and did a whole nother hour, so I did 2 hours, at Roebling and at Barber for them. And I, it kicked my butt, but it wasn't too bad. But then this year at CMP, and it was pretty hot, but 50 minutes was pretty rough this time. So it's like, man, and I think it's because I kind of like backed off my preparation, because before I guess I had over prepared, because I was nervous about it and had never done it before. But now, since I've done it, I'm like, oh, I've got this, I've done it before. And that's kind of where your brain goes. But then if you let go of your preparation, then that's why I think I got so tired this last time. So I'm going to go back to hydrating 2 days before and doing it the same way I did it last year. So we're always our biggest enemies of getting in our own way.
Facts. Facts. And especially when you get in your head, that's the hardest, is get out of your own head, right? Yeah, man, it's so listen, 2024, where can people come and watch you at your next race event?
So the next race event will be at Roebling Road on the 13th and 14th. That's our closest track. That's kind of home turf for me. Of course it's Savannah, but it's the closest track to me. Homestead's like 6 hours, and Jennings doesn't have any racing. So, except for, I think Thomas Soprano does an endurance series there that he just started last year. But so Roebling Road will be the next one, and then Pit Race is in August, and then we take a break between August and then October is GNF. And then this year kind of just really depends on what we do next year. I think I'm definitely still going to do endurance next year. We'll just see where this year goes, as far as like my pace and my ability. This is my first expert year of racing, so it just depends on where I'm at. The original plan was to give Moto America a shot, in 2025. But we'll make that assessment at the end of this year. As of right now, the pace is just not where it's at yet, so we'll see where it goes.
Oh man, I have no doubt you'll make it. Absolutely, you'll make it. 100%. Man, dude, this has been a lot of fun, man. We're an hour into this already. It seems like we just got started, man. I know, right? That's what I love about podcasting. Go by like this. It's like you have so much fun, and yeah. So listen, I'd love to have you back on. There's still so much more we got to talk about. But before I get into the personal questions, I want to talk a little bit about racing this weekend. What's going on, Moto America? And have you had a chance to watch like any BSB or World Superbike like that yet? Or
oh yeah, so I watch World Superbike. I follow MotoGP. I've got subscriptions for both of them. I've got subscriptions to Moto America. I follow BSB like on YouTube and stuff like that, and I love BSB. BSB's they got some really solid riders, and of course we have plenty of solid riders here too, but it seems like they've got so many more tracks than we do, but maybe it's just because that's the way it seems. everything's so spread out here, so everything's so so far away. But yeah, so I follow Moto America thoroughly. I follow MotoGP when I can. I really like following World Superbike more than MotoGP, just because MotoGP is their prototype bikes, and I love MotoGP. Don't get me wrong. I just where MotoGP is gone with all the rider aids and the ride height and the whole shot device, and it's become an engineer's game, and I just kind of like the more, you know, kind of like what BSB does, no electronics, no, it's true riders, man. And that's everybody's known. It's always been about the rider, not the machine.
That's why BSB is my favorite. That's what I tell everybody. It's not because it's better than anybody else. They have no rider aids, and that's proper way of racing. That's how it should be, right? Yeah, um, for sure. But dude, you can go to BSB. You can go to Bennett'sBritishSuperbikes.com, right? Scroll down, and you'll see live video or live time, and you click on it, and boom, it's all free. That's another thing I like about BSB.
I heard you say that at the last podcast. So
Yep.
I've always just followed people I follow on YouTube and the stuff like that. So I've got to try to find ways to get more time to do more motorcycle stuff and less adulting.
Yeah, this is the trick. This is the juggling act for all of us, right? It's doing less adulting and more what we love to do. Yeah, it's absolutely it is. So yeah, I'm a big. I'm like you. I watch everything. I subscribe to the TT. Of course, everybody knows that's my favorite race of the year. BSB's free, so I pay for the World Superbike, the MotoGP, the Moto America. I follow ASBK on YouTube. Yeah, I watched all of it. The Northwest 200, the Macau, Estonia, the Northern Ireland race, whatever I can find and they have on YouTube, I watch it every year.
Yeah, those guys running the TT, man, they got balls of steel. I mean, I know they got they got a lot of talent, that's for sure. But it takes a little bit more than talent to ride that one. It takes some pretty big cojones. Sitting there racing with brick walls and telephone poles next to you, and yeah. But I've always loved. I don't think I would ever try racing it, but I'd always wanted to go watch it for sure.
That's on my bucket list, dude. And to me, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you sitting there and you're watching it, just like you said, it going down Selby Straight. There's just houses and telephone poles and brick walls, and they're doing 204 miles an hour, right? And you're like, holy shit, dude! But dude, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like the best poetry in motion. Not taken away from short circuit racing, but it is proper. I mean, the challenges alone of street racing, not short circuit racing. You got all the bumps, and it's a whole new ball game, right? And what they do is, it's absolutely amazing.
It only takes a little bit of sand while you're on the edge of the tire, and it's over. And no, it's like the pinnacle. I mean, Michael Dunlop, man, for him to have that many titles over there. I mean, he just beat Joey, so he's got it down pat. I was kind of hoping to see Guy Martin doing a lot more of it, but it seems like he's kind of backed off it. It's definitely a crazy guy's game, but more power to him, man. They're killing it. So, but it's like the pinnacle. I mean, it's like if you won the TT, then there's really not much else to win. So.
Facts. I mean, me, in my personal opinion, if I had the skill and the opportunity, I would rather have a TT senior TT win than a MotoGP world title, hands down. Yeah. To me, it would just be more. Now, I don't want to say meaningful, but just I don't know, I guess the aura about it, because not everybody can do it. Yes, again, not everybody can be a MotoGP world champion, right? But there's very few people on this planet that win at the Isle of Man TT versus short circuit racing.
Yeah.
So it's they're absolutely amazing. But yeah, so Moto America this weekend, before we got on, I was glued to my phone watching. Who do you got this weekend? And listen, before you answer this, I get asked all the time, Who is my favorite? Who do I got? I got a couple messages this morning. Who you got in Junior Cup? Who you got in Super Sport? Who you got in Super Bike and Twins and all this? And my answer is the same across the board. I'm friends with so many people that race in the paddock. They are all my favorite. I want every single one of them to win this weekend. I know that's not going to happen, but wherever you place, I'm proud of you and I cheer for you just as hard as if you did win. Right. So and that's in BSB this weekend. That's my mates in ASBK, all my mates here in Moto America. I got a couple in World Superbike. I cheer for every single one of them the same, right? Um, and I'm proud of every single one of them. So I don't answer that question. That's how I answer that question, if that makes sense, right? Um, but yeah. Now I'll answer it as far as the TT and MotoGP, but other than that, it's on my friends that race, man. Because I feel like if I was to be like, oh, I want Daniel Bocook to win, and I'm still friends with everybody else. I just don't want nobody to have any
Feel
hard
that.
feelings or any animosity, right? So I'm complete neutral. I love all my friends that race. I respect every single one of them. I'm so proud of all you guys, whether you're Moto America, BSB, endurance racing, Wera, CCS, Pan Am, wherever you guys race, man, it's nothing but love. I'm proud. I follow you guys. I cheer for you guys. And that's my answer. So, but MotoGP, um, man, who you got? Who you think's gonna win this year? I know it's still early in the season. It's been a hell of a season so far, huh?
MotoGP.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I mean, Pedro Acosta is kind of like the young gun that's come in and started killing it. I know everybody's wishing, that Marquez will take it. I've always been a Pecco guy, so I've always rooted for him. To me, he's like the most humble out of everybody. He's not super, Hollywood like Fabio is, and so like I've always been a Pecco guy. I know he's not as much in contention this year. I mean, he's still kind of close to the top, but and then I mean, I've always kind of wanted to see Martin get one too. But yeah, I mean, it's anybody's game at this point.
it is. So I'm just
Well,
gonna go on and call it.
top fives, anybody in the top fives game at this point.
No, absolutely right. It's so close, right? But listen, this is how I want to see it end at the end of the season. This is probably not how it's going to end up, but you never know. This is part of racing. I would love to see Jorge Martin win the title. It'll be the first non-factory bike, even though he's on a factory bike, not a factory team, to win a title. And then he takes that number one plate to Aprilia because Ducati's just fucked him over so many times this past couple of years. Let's just be honest, okay? So I would love to see Martin win. Um, man, second place, that's a toss up, but I think Pecco would end up probably in third position. Um, and I would love to see. I mean, I know he's new to the game, but dude, baby Jeebus, Pedro Acosta, dude, he's going
Yeah,
to be the next big thing. I think the season's still long, and he could still end up in the top three at the end of the season and championship. Um, with the news just breaking where Mavericks signed for KTM too, and it's man, there's so much going on in GP right now. It's crazy.
I know. I'd love to see Roberts make the jump over there.
Me too.
But love to see. I just love to see an American back out there again. It's been so long. And yeah, I would really like to see him on a team. I mean, he just had a big win. And so I'm always happy to see that. I mean, we've got a lot of we got Julian Corriera going. He's over there now. Well, not MotoGP, but overseas trying to make that run. You got Mallory Dobbs over there. All I just love to see more American folks jumping over there trying to. I want to see them on that path. Wish
Facts.
them all the best of luck.
Oh yeah, Julian's my homeboy, man. You see, I got both his hats right here. Yeah, I actually signed up for his fan club, man. I believe I believe in all my friends that race. And Mallory, it's cool. Is I had Mallory on. I'm friends with her too, and then Lizzie Whitmore. She's a friend of mine out there in BSB. And when this whole women's World Superbike Cup come together, they ended up being teammates. And I mean, how awesome is that, right? I got two friends, one in BSB, one here in Moto America. Now they're teammates on the
Yeah.
in the women's cup. That's
Yeah.
absolutely, you're right.
No, I'm especially always rooting for any of the Florida people. You know, I'm born and raised here in Florida, so you know Julian,
Isaac, Avery, Cameron, dude, the list goes on and on, you know.
yeah, and then of course, I mean, in super sport, I've got all the guys that I've raced with here at Wera. That of course, Riston Grigg, Shane Maggs, Chuck Ivy, all Nathan Siepler. There's a lot of people in super sport that I'm rooting for. And it's a stacked field in super sport this year. So what do you think about what they're doing with Junior Cup next year? So that's a big. Everybody's up in arms about that right now. I've been following that on Facebook pretty hard.
We'll just have to see what happens. Listen, I need to put some more thought into it, right?
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about it, man. We'll just have to wait and see, man. When more details come out, and
it's cool and it sucks at the same time. Like
it right. So I don't really want to
yeah.
make a huge comment right now because nothing's really set in stone. It's just they said what they said, but nothing's set in stone yet. So once it is, me and you'll definitely have this conversation. It could be a good thing. So go ahead.
I said we've been down this road with them before,
Right.
So we've had the whole talent, the whole one with the Aprilias and KTM and all that stuff. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, definitely we will see how it goes. Right now, yeah, it's actually one of my favorite classes, Junior Cup. I love Junior Cup, man. I love dude SFL Mini, the Junior Cup, dude. All those. I love Super Sport, dude. I love all the racing, right? And all my friends that race. I keep saying that. It's Junior Cup reminds me of more of a Moto 3 race, right? You do have those breakaways some, but a lot of the packs like right there, ants on, just straight battling out. Where as you move up, Super Sports like that too, right? But then you'll have those couple guys that we already know the money's in the sport. You got more money, you got better equipment, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So, and then as you go up, gets more apparent. We'll put it that way. Right. I would love to see, and I say it all the time, a real true cost-effective class in Moto America, not $20,000 Junior Cup bikes. I mean, that's not every parent coming out of SFL Mini or wherever can get an $80,000 sponsorship to put this kid in Junior Cup for a season. It's probably more than that. So I want to see a low cost stock bike, no pipes, none of that bullshit. The only thing you change is your chassis, like your clip-ons, your rear sets, right? Your brake lines and shit like that. Other than that, no, it's bone stock ECU, stock everything except for your tires, right? That would be really cost effective because you're not buying all this other bullshit that goes along with it, and then, but there's got to be a way to regulate that because of course that's when, more cheating comes in, it's just that I just want to see cheap racing, a cheap class, entry level class to make it real cost effective where I think more people would be willing to make that leap and physically go and do it. Because now when you get people on, you hear the stories all the time. They're like, yeah, it was, $100,000 to race in X Cup last year, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like, you kidding me right now?"
Oh yeah, I mean it's even like Twins. I mean Twins Cup. I mean what was that? I think Melissa Paris or something said something about takes over $100,000 just to run a Twins Cup bike. So
and that's one bike and one rider.
One bike, one rider. Yeah. It's definitely a money game, and that's the thing that stinks that so many manufacturers, have started to focus more on motocross and supercross, and it's just all kind of peeled away from road race. And I think that would help. If there was more support from that direction, it would help alleviate some of those costs as well, and that's a big part of it. I would like to see that too, and I think that's what the whole mini cup that they're doing. I think that was kind of their ploy at that was to have that be cheaper racing, and we'll see how it all goes. They've gone down avenues like this before, and it's kind of been abandoned, and so we'll see. I really definitely believe in doing there's a lot of these fast young kids out there, man. Trust me, I've had my feelings hurt by them quite a few times. And I've been out to Jennings with Julian, and they're just super fast. And I mean, seeing some of these kids, and the main bike has been the Honda NSF, or the 250. And I've seen kids riding around on those just ripping, man, doing, 5 seconds faster than me, and it's like I'm on a medium weight bike. So, it's it would be really great for them to have a true path to, and that's why Julian's over in Spain and stuff, is trying to climb that ladder and get to where he wants to go. And it would be really cool if we had a good stepping stone over here like that to feed over there.
100%.
Then we have more Americans on the main stage, like MotoGP and so on and so forth.
Or Superbike, yeah, I agree. I agree. And from my understanding, Moto America, they're supposed to come out with a Honda Grom class.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they're doing the whole mini cup thing. I know Joe Fisher, had partook in that some, and then I know they're basically having like a little mini series. I know that's going on right now, but I don't know about as far as having like a full Grom class.
Well,
I think
the only reason why I said that, because when I was in Road America, they had a little thing set up with the Moto America, like Honda Grom race thing coming. I don't know if it's something so I think that'd be awesome. Like, how cool would it be if we had like a Honda Grom race class where Z125, the Honda, the little CF Moto, all that, right? That'd be absolute the best fun you're ever going to have. It's super cheap. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing in Wera. I mean, they had quite a few Grom people out on the track at CMP. I didn't race Sunday, but I watched them all go out there, and I always make sure I catch the leader bike races. But but it's growing in Wera. I know Wera's been doing quite a bit with as far as the mini bikes go. That seems like it's growing quite a bit.
I love it. Huge fan. I'm gonna get me I was up on the fence, like, do I want a CF Moto 125 or the Z125 or the Grom? At the end of the day, I'm just gonna buy me a Grom.
Yeah.
100%.
Hondas, man, you can throw them down the road, put them in the corner for 3 years, and they'll fire right back up. Honda, I've been, it's good to see that Honda came out with a pretty fat contingency program for Moto America this year. I'd really like to see them step their game up on not having an underpowered bike. Even in MotoGP, I mean, it seems like Honda always has the underpowered bike, but other than that, like, they're a solid company, and you think they would they'd do a little bit more R&D to kind of bring it up to where some of them are, but we'll see. We got a lot of fast people racing Hondas this year. I mean, you got Gillum on one, you got Gabriel Da Silva, there's another Florida boy,
Ashton Yates.
Ashton Yates. So I've always loved, and I've got a little Honda that my son rides and that we use for a pit bike, and I mean, that thing's been beat to hell, and it's a great little bike. I mean, they've always made good bikes. That was my third motorcycle growing up. I had an XR. Well, that was not the one I raced or anything, but that was the one I rode around the neighborhood in, terrorizing everybody. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I like the Grom class, so I thought about entering a few races, because Joe he'll rent a Grom to you, and you can take out one of his Groms on a Grom race, and I thought about doing it a couple times. It just never materialized.
Dude, that's my main thing for kind of getting a Grom is like, I still got my 848, but the Grom I could just hop on, go down to my local parking lots or my neighborhood, and just act like a fucking fool at 25 miles an hour and have the most fun ever, right? Then take it down to Florida with SFL Mini GP and ride it there. When I go to Moto America tracks, I got it with me instead of doing all the walking. It's a great investment, right? Of course, I want to get with Dripping Wet and see what it would, cost to do the whole like little pin to gas graphics on it, and all that cool stuff. So Yeah,
Chris is
y'all
gonna
stay
hit.
tuned. That it is coming, and I can't wait. I'm waiting on my custom suit to come. It's my first ever custom suit. Hardly anybody's seen it. There's only select few people that I showed them the photo, and I can't wait to show it off to everybody. It's fucking beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. But listen, dude, this has been a lot of fun, Daniel. I want to get into I want to ask you some personal questions, and then yeah, we'll
Awesome.
we'll schedule a part 2 for this. So let me ask you this. I'm gonna start it off. What series are you watching, you and your wife, on Netflix or Disney or anything like that? Are you guys doing that?
So I don't watch a whole lot of TV, and normally when I do watch a lot of TV, it's me catching up on the races. So, and then of course my wife doesn't watch those with me, so um, she normally goes to bed and I stay up watching them and then go to bed later. But yeah, I mean, and then when I do, like, I don't know, I watch a lot of more kind of nerdy stuff, like how it's made and
Yeah.
you know, modern Marvels, stuff like that. I don't watch a lot of series type stuff anymore. It seems, I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just what it is now.
It's funny you say that because me and my wife were watching this one show called Wheel of Time or Time of Wheel, and the Ozarks on Netflix, right? And the Ozarks got me pretty hooked because it's kind of like Breaking Bad, which is one of the best series ever come out. But I still, as I'm watching it, have my phone down like this, and we're watching it, and I'm looking over because I've got some type of race on that I had missed out on, or that I want to rewatch, or I didn't catch the last 10 minutes, or I caught the last 20 and I need to watch the first part. And yeah, dude, it's dude, to me, it's two wheels forever. Ever. Like you see this room right now, you should see my other room. I got two rooms like this. I got my TV room and my little man cave right here. Is just nothing but love. It's nothing but love.
My office at work is, it's not quite as packed as yours for sure, but this is the stuff behind me here is like kind of like my overflow stuff that's not in my office at work. But you know, try to keep, I got my office decorated and like a suit rack with a suit and helmet that hang and all that good stuff. Um but but yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like when we're watching TV or out to dinner, she's like, "I'm so glad you took me out to dinner for you to be on your phone the whole time." You know, she's always making those comments, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to catch up on this real quick and see who qualified where." And
Yeah, it's I find it's a juggling act because I got to keep my queen happy too at the same time, and it's hard on me sometimes. I'm like, dude, I just want to take 5 minutes again. So the trick between me and you, I'm just gonna go on and say, if you had dinner, dude, listen, if you want to check on some, just look, babe, I gotta go shit real quick. I'll be back in a minute, right? Go in there, get on your phone, check it real quick, come out. You're happy, she's happy. She didn't know you went in there and did that, right? Even if you don't, just stand in the corner. That's what I do. Check it
yeah,
and then go back. So I know my wife will probably hear this. She'd be like, I got you now, fucker.
yeah. Well, my problem is I'll get sidetracked and I'll go in there and sit and then start, you know, looking at others, like other parts or other races, or catch a highlight. Next thing you know, and she's like, "Was there a reason why you're in the bathroom for 35 minutes?" And I was like, "Oh man, I didn't realize I lost track of time." So yeah, well,
Love it, dude. Yeah, see, that's where we get in trouble. Okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry, babe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You love me anyway, and you knew it when you married me. Blah blah blah. All that good stuff. So, let me ask you this, dude. Daniel, tell us something we don't know about you at all.
So you know, So one thing is, I like I said, like I was telling you in the beginning, I had a pretty rough life growing up, and I you know, had a rough go all through. And part of my career, you know, I got involved in you know, doing crazy stuff. Had my own stint with substance abuse. I've got 10 years clean now, and that's part of why I've got such an addictive personality, even with racing. And so you know, yeah, I've been clean for 10 years now, but I was at the bottom of the barrel for quite some time, and lucky to be alive. So to everybody out there, you know, that struggles with that kind of stuff, you know, it's just one day at a time. You can get out there, and you know, I've got a successful business now. You know, I'm a general contractor, do kitchen and bathroom remodels. I get to race. So you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of people out there that struggle, especially veterans that struggle with substance abuse, and so uh, that's the one thing a lot of people probably don't know about me.
Yeah, it's not fun. I actually struggled with pain pills there when I hurt my back, and nobody knows this. First time I'm even talking about it. Man, dude, I hurt my back. It put me out of work for like 9 months. I had to sleep in the floor, dude. Go through all this physical therapy. Like I fucked my lower back up, and dude, of course, I'm on all these pain pills. They take me off. I'm fiending. You go out on the street, and this whole addiction. You go down this black goddamn rabbit hole, and yeah, it was for the people around me that love me. Yeah, I just it was hard to overcome it. Okay, but
Yeah.
I did it. I'm grateful for it. That's why I am right now. Like I don't do Advil, Tylenol, none of that bullshit. I don't want none of it. Don't give it to me. Don't give a shit. I'll just deal with it. So yeah,
Yeah, I even quit smoking. Like I was a 2 pack a day smoker for years, and then I went to the vape, and I smoked the vape for about 2 years, and then I just had dental implants done last September. I had dental implants put in, and I had to go a little while without using the vape, and I was already down to like 1 milligram of nicotine at that point, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm just not going to pick it, and I didn't pick it back up, and I've been nicotine free since last September too. So.
well, that's what
Um,
I'm working on. I'm at a 3 right now, so I'm weaning myself down too
Yeah,
to get off
I
that
still miss it. I
bullshit.
think about it all. I think about it all the time. Especially when I have a beer or something like that. But yeah, it's nice to not have any kind of substance control like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So listen, I'm gonna ask you this, man. If you could take any 3 people to a track day, Daniel, anybody in the world, whether it's a celebrity, a movie star, MotoGP rider, World Superbike, friends, family, whoever it is, what 3 people are you bringing to a track day?
Oh man. God, that's a hard one. I don't know. I'd probably say I follow Keanu Reeves a lot, and he rides a lot of motorcycles, and I think I'd want to take him to a track day.
He's my
Uh,
favorite actor. I love Keanu Reeves.
um, and then probably my mom and dad. Like they've never gone and watched, and my mom says she can't. But yeah, I follow a lot. Like Keanu Reeves is super into motorcycles, and I've seen him. He does track days and stuff. But so thought it would be cool to catch him on a track event. But I think he's probably on the West Coast running around Buttonwillow or something. I'm sure, but.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Keanu, like I said, who would not love to have Johnny Utah sitting down at a track day with you, right? Yeah. That'd be absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this, dude. If you had your own island and you could have one racetrack on this island, what racetrack would you have on it?
Uh, Probably Masano. Probably
Lozano's
Masano.
a good
I
track,
like
yeah.
Masano. I don't know why. I really want to go to Masano. Masano or Magello. One of
Yeah.
the two. But
That the World Superbike's racing at Mazzano this weekend.
yep.
Yep, absolutely. So you guys should go check it out. I watched the first race. I'm not going to give nothing away. If ain't nobody watched it, I'm not going to spoil it, but go check it out.
No
Um,
spoilers here.
no spoilers, not right now. So everybody knows I'm a big audiobook guy, right? I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and 99.9% of them is road racing related, right? And I tell everybody the number one biography as far as racers goes, not taking nothing away from Ian Hutchins or Michael Dunlop or none of those guys, Guy Martin, because I've listened to all those books, is John Hopkins Leathered. If you had not listened to it yet, I highly, highly recommend listening to John Hopkins Leathered. But do you listen to any audiobooks or read?
Oh yeah. I listen to audiobooks and podcasts, and it's mainly a lot of business stuff that I listen to, kind of boring stuff. I listen to a lot of like living in the now type stuff, like Eckhart Tolle's got the power of now. That's what I was talking about, trying to live in the moment. And just I try to listen to positive stuff. Positive in, positive out. And but and then I listen to some biographies and stuff like that. But I probably need to do some other stuff. I need to throw some diversity in there, and maybe do some motorcycle stuff. I know there's some good audiobooks about that out there too.
Oh, 100%. And I listen to motivational stuff too. I like David Goggins. His two books, "Can't Hurt Me," is really good. The one I listened to, the one with Jesse Etzler, where he invited David Goggins over to live with him for a month. That was awesome. That was a good book. Yeah. So I listened to. Man, there's a lot of books I listen to, but of course, my number one I always go to is motorcycle racing. Matter of fact, I just downloaded. Hang on, I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to say nothing wrong. Is The Way of the Ronin. This is one that I just downloaded that I haven't read or listened to yet. Um, so yeah, it's I like listening to, man. So that I got this Driving to Survive. I listened to the Val Kilmer Zen and the Art of Motorcycle, Hutchie, Green Lights with Matthew McConaughey is a really good book, dude. I think you would like that one too. Anthony Bourdain, Kitchen Confidential. That's a really good book. Tom Shatterly, Tim Kennedy. Randy Lanier. Yeah, dude, I got a bunch of books in here. Casey Stoner, Michael Rutter, Lewis Hamilton, Boris Mahalovic, Carl Fogarty, dude, Joey Dunlop. Dude, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the type of books that I listen to. And I listen to a lot of podcasts too. But I find myself that since I do a podcast, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts I used to listen to as far as motorcycle racing goes. There's very few motorcycle podcasts I listen to. One of them is my good mate's Off Track podcast. Big shout out to him over there. He covers everything BSB. I listen to Moto PG podcast, which is my mates out there in Australia. Of course, Chasing the Racing. But other than that, man, I don't listen to a whole lot of. And of course, Pipe Dreams with my man Corey Alexander and James. Can't even talk right now. Repsoli. I listen to theirs too, but I don't listen to a whole lot of motorcycle podcasts.
Yeah, I
So
don't listen to it. I don't listen to a lot of motorcycle podcasts. It's more current event type podcasts. Like I said, stuff into like I used to be into competitive shooting, stuff like that. So I listen to a
I
couple
love
different
guns.
motorcycle related. Yeah.
I'm a big gun fanatic. I got when my son was when he was born, man, I taught him, dude, he knows how to. Yeah, we got a lot of guns. He knows how to use them all properly. He knows how to shoot them. He knows how to break them down. He knows how to clean them. He's got his own AR, and he's 11, right? And I bought him that when he was 8. I mean, yeah, I've been taking him shooting his whole life since he was a wee little lad, right?
That's the way to do it, because then they're not curious, and they're even if they do see one, find one, which all mine in my house are locked up. But even if there happens to be one that you unholster and set down for a minute, they're not curious about it. They know the power of it. They've dealt with it, know how to handle it. And I think that a kid is a lot safer in a home that knows how to handle one.
100%, 100%. But there is a podcast I think you would like. It's a military one. Man, I forget the guy's name. My buddy just turned me on to it, and I've only listened to one, but I've seen some of his YouTube shorts. It's called 307.
Mm-hmm.
It's a podcast. And he does a YouTube channel too. Hang on, I'm gonna try to pull it up real quick listen, while I'm doing this, let me ask you this. Who's your favorite comedian?
Favorite comedian? Oh man, probably I'd probably say maybe Dave Chappelle. I like
Chappelle's
Dave
awesome.
Chappelle. Cat Williams is pretty funny too.
Cat Williams is absolutely hilarious, right? Um, yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this, and I ask everybody this because I grew up. We're basically the same age, so in the Star Wars, Star Trek area, right? So, which one are you? Are you Star Wars or Star Trek?
God, I'd probably say I don't know. I've never really been into either, which is I know is like a cardinal sin. But
Facts.
probably
It is.
Star Wars over Star Trek. But yeah, I never was able to get into the whole sci-fi thing. I don't know why.
All right. So are you more of a DC and Marvel guy then?
Um, yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of that. Like, I watched. I mean, I was big into Harry Potter when it came out, so I liked a lot of Harry Potter.
Okay, see, I've never watched Harry Potter. I need to.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps telling me you need to watch Harry Potter, so
Uh,
I need to watch Harry Potter for sure. So let me ask you this: what character would you be in Hogwarts? And what is it? School? Because there's four of them or whatever, right? What club would you be in?
um,
The
I don't.
what is it? The
You've got
Slytherin,
Slytherin. You've got Gryffindor.
the Gryffindor.
Um, what's the other one? I think like Hufflepuff or something like that. I can't remember. I haven't watched Harry Potter in so long. But probably Gryffindor. I mean, I'd probably be a mixture between that and Slytherin. So
I like it. So I got the video game for PS5 and I started playing it. It's good. I mean, and that's something I ask guests too, right? PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
Yeah, so I got a PS5. I do want to buy me an Xbox because a lot of my road racer friends got Xboxes, not PlayStation. So I'm going to break down and buy me an Xbox so I can play with everybody, right? So
I'm
what's in the console right now?
was replaying Call of Duty Ghosts.
Nice.
So my son's real big into what's he been playing a lot of? It's a racing game. Gosh.
Ride 5, Forza.
No, it's not Ride 5. It's gosh, why can I not freaking remember? It's trying to see, the games are right over here actually, but
Is it motorcycles or cars?
no, it's cars.
Oh, okay.
It's cars. I downloaded the MotoGP game and I played it for like half a night, and like the motorcycles turned terrible in that game, and I was just like, I'm not playing this anymore.
Yeah, that's why I like Ride 5 better for sure, and Ride 4. To me,
Yeah.
they're way better than theirs. But the Superbike game that I got 2022 or 2023, the SBK game's really good too because it's yeah, it's just a lot. It's just like anything. It's more fun to play. If you see a game, you're like, oh, dude, this game looks so badass. You play, you're like, this game sucks ass. Like I don't even forget it. I just don't because I'm not having fun. You're not going to play it, right? So it's just like anything. It's all having fun. And we have a comment from Stephanie Servin. What is up, Stephanie? She says, just stopped in to say, I love Pin to Gas podcast. Stephanie, and I love you. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. And I say it, it's thank you to everybody that watches and likes and subscribes and shows me all the love. It's an absolute honor to be able to sit here and do this. And I just don't know what to say, but thank you guys so much. It means so much to me. You guys don't even know. It really does. So thank you, Stephanie. You, my friend, is proper mega for sure.
Jeff and Stephanie are solid people, man. They're heavily involved in the motorcycle industry, and they make good food. I've had her baking and stuff is really good too. So
listen, I'm a huge fan of Chef Eats, and I run his logo on my shirt. Right.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I give Chef Eats a big shout out. I actually need to call Jeff and see if I can get like a discount code to people on and give out on the podcast. So people that watch it, because I'm always at the end, I always give Chef Eats a huge shout out. So there's actually a couple that I'll get to here in a few. But yes, Jeff is absolutely one of them. I had the absolute honor to meet him in Road Atlanta at the first race this year. I wish we'd have got more time to spend together. So next time I come down to Atlanta, I definitely want to spend more time with Jeff. He's absolutely amazing. I had him on the podcast. I'm going to have him back on the podcast. And yeah, dude, they're just absolutely amazing people. And I tell everybody, man, what are you guys eating at the racetrack? And they're like this. I'm like, why don't you have Chef Eats? I don't understand it. You can order Chef Eats. It's the best meal. All you got to do is bring a microwave. Forget all that other crap, paper plates and plastic spoons and forks and a knife. Order you some Chef Eats, throw in a microwave, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's absolutely the best meal you're going to have. And he has all kinds, desserts, the whole nine. Yeah, his products are absolutely simply amazing. So I highly recommend it. Listen, another big shout out. So yeah, you guys get off here. Don't watch this right now. Go to chefeats.com and yeah, tell them Pin the Gas sent you. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah, I got some in the freezer right now, and it's like the only place where you'll get something that you reheat in the microwave and have a medium rare steak. So uh,
Listen,
it's pretty amazing.
it's and I say this, man. I had a good buddy of mine. He's like, dude, Chef Eats, you talk about it. And I was like, look, dude. And he was like, I think I'm gonna try HelloFresh. And I've tried HelloFresh. I've tried what's the other one? Fresh and Lean. Um, and when you get stuff like that and you look into it, you're always kind of susceptible of how good it's really going to be. Is the steak going to be dry? Is the chicken going to be just dry and tough and not any good and juicy and all that? Yeah, and I had the honor to meet Jeff. I had him on the podcast. He sent me a couple free meals, which thank you so much. And they were absolutely amazing. Like they were the best prep meal. I'm telling you guys right now, absolutely amazing. So yeah, check them out, chefeast.com. You hear Daniel say it. You see him on my shirt. You hear me talk about him. You walk through Moto America paddock when you're there. You see the stickers on all the bikes. I mean, listen, next time I come to Moto America, I'm going to order me some meals. I'm going to bring some with me. I'm going to go around and I'm going to cook them and I'm going to go around and just like you do at Costco and all that with little forks in them. Here you go. Take a sample. Here you go. Take a sample. Here you go. Take a sample. Yeah, simply amazing. But listen, let me ask you this, man. Food, right? Because I'm. It's kind of a broad kind of question, right? Because I'm into all kinds of food: Greek, Italian, Thai, and all that stuff. But I'm gonna make it simple. What is your favorite cheat meal you go to? Like, because during the race, you want to eat healthy, you want to be on certain diets and watch what you eat and all that stuff, right? But what is your favorite cheat meal you do?
Probably Firehouse subs. Probably that's my favorite cheat meal. I don't do McDonald's and Taco Bell and all that. It's Firehouse subs and stuff's about as unhealthy as it gets for me. So I try not to unless the kids want some chicken nuggets or something. But I just normally pick those up for them. I still don't eat there. So if that's
Facts. So at Firehouse Sub, what you ordering? What are you ordering at Fire? Because I like Firehouse Subs too.
I normally get their club on a sub, but lately I've been getting that barbecue Cuban. That new barbecue Cuban they got is pretty damn good too. So yeah, I've been getting that lately.
Man, yeah, I get the I like the Italian. I like the engineer. There's really not too many subs in there I don't like.
Yeah.
It's good, man. It's like me. I don't eat fast food at all. Like I don't eat Taco Bell, McDonald's, none of that bullshit. My son, he's a Chick-fil-A nugget head, right? So usually if I do eat Chick-fil-A, of course I had to try that spicy chicken sandwich with pimento cheese. Why did you guys get rid of that? Bring that shit back on the menu. You kidding? And why don't Chick-fil-A have spicy chicken nuggets? I'm just confused. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm like you. Yeah, I don't eat a lot of fast food. And let's say I travel on the road, I try to stop at if I stop at a gas station, like let's say somewhere like Sheets, I'll get like fruit cup, the pickles in the bag, a couple pieces of beef jerky, something like that to keep me maintained on the road instead of, buying all that bullshit. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
Let me ask you. Go ahead.
Like too, but I try. I don't know. My fried food, greasy foods always kind of mess with my stomach a little bit. So, but Chick-fil-A is probably about the only fried stuff I can tolerate.
Yeah, it's and let's just be honest, it's good. I mean, Chick-fil-A is fucking decent, man. But let me ask you this, dude: are you a pineapple on pizza type of guy?
It's not my preferred, but I can eat it. It's decent. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. There's this meal that I want to do. I want to do there's actually a couple, but I want to do like a homemade Alfredo sauce because I like to cook at home. I like to make my own sauces and all that. I want to do a homemade Alfredo sauce, add chorizo to it, right? And make like a Philly cheesesteak, but take the big shells, right? And then stuff it with the Philly cheesesteak, right? And then pour the Alfredo with the cheese sauce on it and bake it in the oven. I think that would be absolutely amazing, right?
Alfredo chorizo sounds amazing. I like both.
Me too, right? So, man, just throw it all together. That's just how my brain thinks sometimes. Like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add this, and I'm gonna add that. and my wife's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Check it out. This is gonna smack so hard." Yeah. So I just throw shit together, and there it is. So
yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man. So let me ask you this: what advice would you give your younger self, Daniel?
Man, listen to the people around you. Listen to the people around you, because I was a hard headed man, and I had a lot of people giving me really solid advice growing up that I was like, yeah, man, I got this. Y'all hold my beer, and then I was like, yeah, you don't have this. So, I should have taken older cats' advice for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to when you think you know it all, right? I got this. I can handle this. This ain't no problem. But yeah, you're right. It's yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then: if you could choose one superpower, what superpower would Daniel pick? Excuse me.
To travel through time.
That'd be cool, right? Would you go forward or backwards?
Backwards, of course. And I'd buy some lottery tickets.
Because I already know the winning number, so let's go, right? I love it, dude. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So, this has been absolutely amazing. Before we get off here, let me ask you this: who's the most famous person you have in your phone?
The most famous person that I have in my phone. I don't know. Probably. I don't have anybody famous in my phone.
Or you gotta have somebody famous in your phone.
In my contacts in my phone?
Yeah, your contacts in your phone.
No, I don't think so. I've got the former mayor of Jacksonville on my phone, but that's probably the most famous, I guess.
Listen, let me ask you this: do you have any good rental car stories?
Rental car stories? No.
Or any good hotel stories? Any after racing party hotel stories that just?
I've got plenty of good hotel party stories. I mean, we threw back when I was younger. I mean, hotel parties were like where it was at. So like we used to go get Motel 6 rooms and throw really crazy parties.
Live it up.
Police showing up in the whole 9 yards. So
right.
Yeah,
That's
plenty
awesome.
of that. Not rental car stories though.
That's awesome. Well,
I was always a smoker, so I was always scared to rent a car because I could never go long without smoking. I was like, yeah, they're going to charge me for smoking in the car. I know. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so glad I quit smoking. I quit smoking cigarettes when a year after my son was born. But of course, I picked up vaping, and I've been like quitting and picking it back up, quitting and picking it back up here and there. Yeah, especially you go out and I don't have a vape because I done threw it away because I was done with it, and I have a couple drinks. My buddy's over there hitting on one, and it smells so good. You're like, oh my god, that shit smells so good. What is it? Oh, let me hit it again. And next thing I know, the next day you're like, I'm going to buy me a vape.
Yeah,
that's how it always happens. So yeah, man, yeah. So listen, Daniel, this has been an absolute blast. I had a proper mega time. It's absolute honor to have you on the podcast. Can't wait to have you back on again. We will reschedule another one as soon as this ends. But before we get off here, Daniel, tell everybody where they can find you at social media, where they can come and hang out with you on a track day, or even race with you in endurance.
So yeah, we're on Instagram. We've got River City Race Team, and the Cook 983 are all my Instagram and Facebooks. Of course, you can always catch us at any of the Wera into endurance rounds. Mainly I've raced a few at Azure races, but mainly kind of follow Wera. The plan is to try to hit some other organizations next year, but yeah, so I mean, I'm always all over Facebook. So River City Race Team, that's our page on Facebook.
I love it. And listen, before we end this video, another big shout out to Bison. Listen, guys, I'm telling you right now, bison.com, pin the gas 2024, get 10% off everything there. Don't buy an off the rack suit, get a full custom suit. Please. You'll thank me later, right? Another big shout out is my mate Jake Marsh and the whole RD racing team out there in BSB. The racing this weekend, you guys absolutely go. Kia Walker, man, I got so many friends, all my friends in BSB this weekend. Listen, I love all you guys. I'm proud of you. Kick ass, right? Another one is my man Martin from the Clothing Kings. You guys can go to clothingking.co.uk and order all Pin the Gas merch over there in the UK. It's absolutely amazing. I have a hat, I got a shirt, my wife's got one, my son's got one, and there's certain other people in the family that have them, and they're absolutely amazing. So you guys go check out the website. Even if you're a racer or a rider and you want clothes made for you, listen, look no further than the Clothing Kings. Hit me up. I'll put you in direct contact. And dude, there's simply amazing company to be working with for sure. 110%. Big shout out to SFL Mini GP. You guys know that they're already pumping out so many champions coming out of South Florida right now. We got Juju, we got Avery, we got Ella, we got Isaac. I mean, listen, the list goes on and on. Daniel knows all these guys and girls. I know them all too. They are simply amazing. Even if you're not in the Florida area and you're just in the United States, hell, if you're anywhere in the world, you want to come down, SFL Mini, listen, you'll have so much fun. Just ask Daniel; he'll tell you, right? Even if you're 60 years old and you're like, "Hey, I always want to drag my knee," go to SFL Mini. You're a parent and you have a kid that's 4 or 5. You want to put them on a bike for the first time. SFL Mini, and the cool thing is, you don't have to have the helmet, and the boots, and the gloves. You sign the registration, you show up. Michael will provide all that for you, even the bikes too as well. And you even have the option to rent some bikes too. So if you wanted to try a different bike, you can rent it and boom, there you go. So SFL Mini GP. Big shout out to my man BSB Barmy Army out there in the UK. What he's doing for the people out there is absolutely amazing. You guys already heard the shout out for Chef Eats. So big shout out to Chef Eats. Listen, I don't know what you guys are doing. Go to chefeats.com, order all your meals. You can thank me and Daniel and everybody else in the paddock later. Absolutely amazing. Big shout out to this dude. So check this out, Daniel. I met this guy and we got to talking, and he has these sunglasses called Flying Eyes Optics sunglasses, right? And they're made to actually wear up underneath motorcycle helmets because we've all been there and done that, right? I mean, shit, I still do sometimes to this day. Especially you buy a new helmet, don't come with a dark visor. You want to wear your new lid. Obviously, you're going to put a pair of sunglasses on. These are actually made and assembled in Austin, Texas, right? They're made to go up underneath your helmet. They are the lightest sunglasses I've ever tried on. Hands down 100%. I don't care. I'll put them up against Costa, Oakley's, all that. Maui Gins, Ray-Bans, whatever you got. Weigh them side by side. You'd be like, holy, dude, I'm going to tell you like this. I wear these. I forget I even have them on. And that's hard to say about any pair of sunglasses. I mean, let's just be honest, right? But listen, you guys can go to Flying Eyes Optics and use Pin the Gas 10 and get 10% off. I will have these with me at the racetrack. So you see me, say, hey, let me try those sunglasses. I heard you talk about them. I'll take them off. You give me yours. You run around like a lunatic for an hour or 30 minutes, whatever. You bring them back. We'll trade back. If you like them, I'll put you in the right direction. I'm telling you guys, they have RX. You can get them in prescription too as well. So you guys give them some love too. Go look them up. And Ghetto Customs. We had talked about this, right? I just had him on the podcast. I want to get him to do something for when I buy a Grom. I'd like to get some Ghetto Custom bodywork for a Grom. Wouldn't it be badass? Right? But yeah, listen, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. And if you haven't had the chance yet, please go like and subscribe on all my formats, YouTube and all that. It helps me out a lot. And I will be on Apple here soon, as soon as I get a new computer, but it's in the works. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love all you guys. Good luck to all my friends racing this weekend all across the world. And last but not least, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my friend Daniel Bocook today on this podcast. You guys stay tuned for part 2. Daniel, is there anything you want to say before we get off here?
No, just want to thank all my teammates. Thank all of course, all of our sponsors that I mentioned earlier: Pirelli, 64 Degrees Racing, M4, DC Paintworks, Next Level Motorsports, Stomp Grip, Woodcraft, Podium Motorsports, Pirelli, Pit Lane Moto. Zeb over there at Pit Lane Moto has been helping us out huge this year. Go give them a shout out for all your parts, all that good stuff. Yeah, man, just thanks. It's honors all mine to be on the podcast today for sure.
Absolutely, man. You guys stay tuned because I have one more podcast coming at you today. Yes, I'm doing 2 in 1 day. It's with a good mate of mine, all the way from down under in Australia. It'll be 8 p.m. my time, Eastern, but it'll be Sunday, I think, noon his time. So yeah, you guys stay tuned, join in for that, and I'll see you guys soon. Daniel, hang on with me 1 second, and thank you guys so much. Nothing but love, and I'll see you guys soon.
Peace.
All right. Deuces.